Gentlemen, so now we've talked about jackets, we've talked about waistcoats, we've talked about ties, shirts, pants, we've even talked about accessories. Now we need to talk about the foundation that holds it all up. That's right, this entire video is about shoes. Here, a Big Pretty Man. Hi, and welcome back to Big Pretty Man, a channel for the extra large man who likes to live his life large and in charge. I'm your host, Timothy Big Pretty Crowe. I'm a wardrobe and lifestyle consultant for the extra large man. You know, guys, whenever I've spoke about wardrobe, I always did it with a budget in mind for those working on from a budget. I never talked about the high-end clothing, that gets well up into the multiple hundreds of dollars for a jacket, even the thousands of dollars. But I figured that if I'm teaching you how to dress, from what kind of colors, what kind of combinations, how to do complementary colors, also the tips on measurements and things like that. I'm figuring that once you know how to dress, stepping up the quality of your wardrobe, that becomes incidental, because then it's more important to know the basics than to know all the high ends. But there is going to be one exception with that, and that is with shoes. The thing is, shoes, someone actually once said that you can tell a lot about a man, no matter what he's wearing, just by looking at his shoes. And that is really the truth. Shoes really define the entire wardrobe. And if you don't believe me, next time you're out somewhere that you are dressed up, that you are got on your fine dress, notice when people look you down, especially women. Look where they do. They'll look you. A lot of women will either look you up or down, or they'll look directly at your shoes. Sometimes it's quick. Hi, but it's there. They're checking out your shoes. Shoes are extremely important, and it is one of the areas where you can't skip. Now, if you get a little lower quality jacket or lower quality shirt. When I say lower quality, I'm talking about more medium range. $80 shirt, $200 a sport coat, that type of thing. You can get away with it. Yes, those are really, up to date on and really observant to men's fashion. They are going to notice, but most people are not. And if you wear it right and the fit and all that, it's not going to make a difference. You can't do that with shoes, because cheap shoes are always going to show up. Now, when I say cheap shoes, I'm talking about these $100 shoes. And the reason that I'm talking about those, I won't name brands, of course, but the type of these dress shoes that run around, like I said, $100. Those shoes, leather, and of course you're talking about leather dress shoes here. Those type of shoes are usually, the leather is not even second or third grade. It's basically where they've taken scraps of leather that's been used for the good leather from that hide's been used for better quality merchandise, like belts or even better quality shoes, and the rest of the scraps they throw together. It's shredded up, and then it's kind of meshed together into this form of made up leather that basically it's the particle board of leather. And then they use that to they paint it, and then it's glued together, and that's what makes up these $100 shoes. That's the reason that they're so cheap. Well, the problem with those is that they're only good for about maybe a year if you're lucky, and if you're wearing them a lot, maybe not even that, because that paint's going to start wearing off. If you look at some of these $100 shoes, if they're more than a year old, you'll see in the wear spots are around the heel or down where the side of your toes are pushing on the shoe, things like that. You will start seeing the little wear marks that are on the toe. You'll start seeing that paint starting to wear off. Good shoes, you don't have that. And you really don't want that. So, you really need to invest in at least 2 pair of really good dress shoes. And I recommend, if you're going to get dress shoes, get a good Italian shoes. Now, the best ones that I can recommend within a very good price range and look very good, and they are someone handmade Italian shoes, and that would be AceMarks. And they are Italian. They run around, starting around $295 up to about $400. So for around $300, $350, you can get a very nice dress shoe. Now, on that, I will say this. I really think that when it comes to dress shoes, it matters on how much they're going to be used and your vocation. And I'm about to give you an excuse for a pair of cheap shoes. Okay, if you do happen to, if you're not really out to impress anyone, if you're not really out to, for the business meeting or the date, or, trying to make a good impression with your dress, which, by the way, you should always be trying to make a good impression with your dress. But if you're in a situation where that's not really what you're trying to do and that's not your life goal, I can kind of understand a cheaper pair of shoes. A lot of people will crucify me for this, but bear with me. I'm going to give this example. If you happen to be, let's say you work in construction, or you're a factory worker, or just some kind of blue collar thing where you're not required to wear dress clothes almost practically never, like maybe once a year, once every 2 years, maybe for funerals, weddings, the big occasions that demand these things, you have to wear, when you really have to dress up. Like I said earlier with suits, you really only need maybe two pair of suits, a charcoal gray and a blue suit, and those are going to pretty much serve your purposes. Well, the same is kind of true of shoes. You're really only going to need two pair of shoes. And though I just recommended, and I still think everyone needs to get a good pair of shoes, if it's something you're not going to wear, I can understand not wanting to spend a lot of money on them. And therefore I can kind of see why, it breaks my heart, but why $100 pair of shoes would probably serve your purpose. Because if you are a person like that and you're never going to use them, say you've got one event to go to, say a wedding, I need to go to this wedding, and you don't have any dress clothes, you don't have any dress shoes, and you get your one suit and you're like, these shoes you're never going to wear again that year, maybe not have to wear them for another 2 years, then yeah, I can kind of see where the $100 pair of shoes, if they're new, if they're not worn, could probably serve the purpose for the day if you're in an emergency. So I can understand that. However, a lot of people will say if you buy a better shoe, even though they run at least $300, like the AceMarks shoes, well, if it's a good quality leather and you keep them shine, you take care of them, they're going to last you a lifetime. If you have to wear them very often, it can break down to a couple of cents on the wear. However, that all goes out the window if you're not going to touch dress shoes for another 2 years. So, buying a $300 pair of shoes is probably a waste of money for you if you're only going to use them once a year or once every 2 years. So there, I can kind of understand getting a cheaper pair of shoes. Now, you won't hear most of the gurus say that, and I still cringe. But the reason I'm saying this is, even if you're wearing cheap shoes, I'd rather see you step out in something that looks nice, even if it's not the greatest quality, than step out in something than not have it at all. At least you're wearing, some dress shoes with your clothes. However, going back to just if you do want a pair of shoes that impress, that will last you a lifetime, that you may wear it more often, if you're into dressing up, as all big men I say should be, then yes, definitely get around a $300 plus pair of dress shoes. Okay? Now, the two that you're going to need a black pair and a brown pair minimum for dress shoes. I would highly recommend that for a black pair that you get either a cap toe Oxford. They always look nice. That's the ones that have the ring around the front toe. It's cap toe. They usually also have a little bit of broguing, around it, or some medallion on the design that's on the front of the shoe. But with black, I would recommend you getting a whole cut black pair of Oxfords. Why? Because whole cut means that they're made out of one piece of leather. They're cut from one piece of leather, and they usually are usually stitched one stitch in the back rather than multiple stitchings of these different parts being put together. That means that there's no broguing, there's no hose, there's no medallion. They're just flat black and very, very shiny black. They look very classy. And the reason that I recommend that you get those is because if they will fit any function that you do. If you need to wear them with a regular suit, they're going to look great. Keep a good shine on them. They're going to look great. They're going to look very, very nice. However, if you do happen to have to wear a tux to anything, well, don't have to worry about shoes. They're going to look fantastic with a tux. Tuxedo with these shiny, flat, no design, hole cut leather shoes. They're going to look fantastic. They're a great shoe to have. They can even go with a casual outfit. A dressy casual outfit. They're a great shoe, so I highly recommend that. If not, if you do want a little more design to the shoe, then yes, get the cap toe Oxford shoe. Now, when it comes to the brown shoes, I would recommend getting it in a brandy brown or possibly an oxblood. I actually really like oxblood brown shoes. And I would go for more with something with more of the medallion on, a nice Oxford shoe with the broguing. And I would recommend either a brogue style, which that means it has the little holes around it. That's called broguing, those little bitty holes. It was actually originally made to take moisture off the shoe because it was originally a hunting shoe. So when you walked in wet places, especially in Europe and England, then that would kind of pull some of that moisture off the shoe. They would like little reservoirs for the shoe. Not a bad idea. So I would recommend that. Also, I would recommend outside of that, I would also recommend a derby form of shoe, and that's because derbies are the ones that it has to do with the lacing. A lot of them just have these straight up lacing, but some have like these flaps to the shoe. That makes it, especially for big guys, and this is the reason I recommend it for big guys, is because, sometimes it's hard to get shoes on, let's admit it. Getting down there and all that, you're turning red in the face and you're sucking for air, or you have to put them up on something to reach them. I understand, guys, I'm a big guy too. So it makes it a little harder to get them on, So with the derby shoe, you can open them up. They're a little easier to slip your foot into them. And then, you can close them up and tie them. I would also recommend getting yourself a good shoe horn, a long handheld one, so that you can put it in the back of the foot, so that you can easily slip your foot in the shoe. Don't grind your feet into the shoes. You're just going to ruin your shoes. Okay? So those are the two that I recommend. But, take a look, especially at AceMarks collection. They have some beautiful shoes and some beautiful combinations, and I highly recommend them all. And like I said, they do run between about $299 and $300 to even up to $400 or so dollars. And I would say, if you're like, oh my goodness, that's a lot, they're going to last you a lifetime. They're good to show off. People are going to look at them like, ooh, nice. He's wearing nice shoes with his nice clothes. And even if your clothes aren't as nice, if you have on nice shoes, it's going to reflect on the substandard suits that you may be wearing, the little cheaper suits. A good pair of shoes can actually help things out. So they are worth the investment. And AceMarks does, at least at present, have different types of payment plans where you can get these shoes and maybe pay like $100 a week or set it up that way. Definitely look at that option if you are on a budget. But definitely try to get you 2 pair of these good shoes. They will last a lifetime. Now, outside that on shoes, the other thing I would like to talk about is both sandals and Boulder shoes. There's a big debate with a lot of the gurus when it comes to sandals. Me personally, I like sandals. They've been the footwear of men for thousands of years, going back to ancient Egypt. There's a museum that I work at, and we have sandals from ancient Egypt that look like flip-flops that people wear today. So how are you going to knock the footwear of every civilization up until, a couple hundred years ago? I do like sandals. I think they have their place. If you're going to the beach, I like sandals. I actually think sandals look good with guys wearing jeans. Now, a lot of people will be horrified by that. But if you're going for like a beach look or a summer look, I think a pair of well-made leather sandals, you know, do not wear socks with them, especially white, any color sock. But white socks, you need to be shot. I mean, stay home. You're not, what are you, 90? So you don't wear socks with them. But, you know, I think that a good pair of leather sandals with a good, you know, with when wearing a nice polo shirt or a nice button-up loose summer shirt, you know, some jeans, and you know, with a nice summer hat on, you know, either like a straw hat. I think, you know, and some nice Wayfarer sunglasses. I think it's a very nice breezy look and a good casual look. And I do not think that I think the sandals are appropriate. Now there are different types, Appangattas and all of this that you can get out there. Personally, don't like Appangattas. To me, they look like something my granny would wear to hang clothing on the line, hang wash on the line. Sorry, I just can't handle those. I'm sure they're great beach shoes, but no. To me, I think that a pair of sandals look extremely masculine, in fact. You know, so, you know, I'm definitely on the side of sandals. You know, you can't beat you know, hey, that's good enough for Achilles, even though they didn't help his heel. They're good enough for Achilles. They were good enough for the Romans. They're good enough for me. Okay, so that's my thing on sandals. Now, another pair of shoes I think you need to invest in for the summer, and I think they look very nice, is a pair of Boulder shoes. I think Boulder shoes, I always think of them as yacht shoes. If they're great for the summer, and they're also kind of dressy casual. If you have on, like I said, your little black dress of menswear, which I'm wearing now, the navy blue blazer with a pair of khaki pants and some boat shoes, maybe put on a nice with a nice open collar white shirt, put on a cravat, or what some people call an ascot with that, maybe blue polka dot, you know, with your straw hat. You know, you're going to look fantastic. You're going to look, you know, all you need is just a drink in your hand. You know, you're going to look like you're ready for the yacht party. And, you know, Boulder shoes are also, they're very versatile. You know, they're good for the beach. They're good, you know, so they're a very versatile shoe. Now, the next type of shoe that I would talk, other than those type of shoes, there's another thing I would want to talk about, and that is something you don't hear from a lot of the gurus, and that is dealing with being on your feet. A lot of these guys that do these videos are fairly small guys or medium size, average size guys. They don't have the weight on their feet that we are carrying. I'm 330 pounds. Now that's about 165 pounds on each hoof. That's a lot of weight on my feet. That's a lot of weight on any big guy's feet, and you have to take this into consideration. And one of the problems with dress shoes is that I've often called them desk shoes. They're made more to sit behind a desk. They're not really made, at least for a big guy, to be walking around in all day. If you're working a job like, say, retail, you know, or some job that you are dressed business casual, you know, a pair of these dress shoes, even the better well-made Italian shoes, they look great, but they are hell on your feet, and you're going to come home with extremely sore feet, maybe some blisters, you know, just from not from the wear of the side of the shoe, but just from the pure weight on your feet. Now there are a few tricks to this. You've probably heard before. You can take like the padding out of a pair of sneakers. Some people call them sneakers, tennis shoes, trainers, whatever you call them. Take the padding out of those and put them inside of your dress shoes. That will help somewhat. However, and I'm about to recommend something that a lot of the gurus and a lot of fashion people are going to really flinch at, but I don't care. I care more about your feet and your health than I do about being absolutely on par with all fashion. Lately, they've come out with these, what they call, some people call them crossover shoes. They're kind of these dress shoe sneakers. You've seen these. They look like a dress shoe on top, and they usually have the white sneaker-like bottom. Most people in higher fashion and men's fashion don't like them. They see them as tacky, and they are probably something just going out of style. But I will tell you this, if you're working retail, or you're working something where you have to be on your feet like 8 hours a day, or something that requires you to wear more of a dress shoe, they are a godsend for your feet. You know, do they look the best? Are they the best choice for a shoe? Obviously not. You're not going to beat a good Italian dress shoe for looks. Are they comfortable and will they save your feet? Absolutely. Now, if you are going to buy a pair of these, you know, get as good a pair as you possibly can. And, you know, as far as, you know, the structure, as the looks of them. But I would not recommend paying a lot of money for them. These, yes, these shoes you could pay $100 for and no more. They should be a knock-around shoe. You know, because number one, I don't know how long they're going to be in fashion before they're just gone. They're completely unwearable. You got to bear that in mind, because this could be a fad shoe. So, and you know, and you're only going to be using them if you are using them for work, they should be something you bang around in. You know, they're not that of an important shoe, and they're also, because they are cheaper, they're easy to replace. So I would not go over $100 on these things. You know, you go out and they sell them like $400 or $500. Forget that for a shoe that may be completely a fashion faux pas in a few years, you know, and that you are only going to wear for work, and they need for the bang and tear and wear. Go for the cheaper versions, that they will help your feet. However, I do still recommend getting good dress shoes for when you do anything else. And if you aren't on your feet at all, you do not need those crossovers. If you're working any type of desk job or anything that doesn't require you to be on your feet long periods of times, go for the dress shoes, put the different padding in them, and that'll help. You know, so, you know, a lot of people are going to come after me, but hey, like I said, I'm more concerned about your health and your feet. You know, I want you to be able to walk every day without a cane. And if you and in some of these dress shoes, you walk around 8 hours a day in those, that's what's going to happen. So, yeah. So, you know, I try to be practical as well as stylish, and that's my recommendation. Now, last thing I'll talk about really quick, we're going to make a bigger video on this, and that would be on socks. One of the things you don't want to do, never wear white socks with dress shoes. Don't do it. It is the absolute definition of tacky. Absolute definition, you don't know what you're doing. It's the highest level of unsophistication. Don't do that. I saw that recently. Some guy had a really nice suit, a pair of black, nice loafers, expensive horsebit loafers, and a pair of white socks. That's like having a filet mignon and then taking a crap on it. It's just horrible. I'm still in shock over it. I'm sorry. But yeah, you know, always wear some nice dress socks, and I would recommend getting the knee-high socks. And the good thing like right now is the really colorful socks are in, you know, so you can, you know, really play up the color. Get some striped socks, you know, of different colors. You can color coordinate them with your color wheel, like for my last video, with your outfit. But, you know, like for instance, for this outfit, I'm not showing my feet right now, but I actually have a pair of blue and red striped socks that I wear with this outfit. You know, I could even go yellow and blue, you know, kind of play it up, you know, stripes. So, you know, and you know that when you cross your legs, especially if you get the cut of your pants a little higher to show off your socks, which is what I like, I have my break a little higher, so if I sit down or I'm walking, you can just catch a bit of my socks. You know, it adds a little, like I said, it adds that individuality, it adds a little bit of burst of color, a little bit of pop, you know, and I highly recommend it. And yes, definitely the knee-high ones, because the ones that are lower have a tendency to fall down, and that's, you know, you're going to look like your bobby sock type of thing. You don't want that. So I'd highly recommend that you get a sock that goes up to your knee, okay? And I'm going to do a whole nother video on socks and the best place to get socks, the different types of socks and how to wear them and things like that. And actually knee-high socks can be very good for your legs if you're a big guy. You know, we'll go into that as well too. So anyway, that is okay. That's my recommendations on shoes. I would highly recommend, like I said, spending the money, getting a good pair of dress shoes. And if you're on your feet all day long, get the crossovers. Don't get them very high and a very high price. Use them as a bang around work shoe, you know. And you know, just make sure that, you know, and they can add a bit of class and offset your outfit. Even if your outfit's not the highest quality, if they're high quality shoes, it's gonna make things work so much better. Shoes can make the man. They say clothing can make the man. Shoes can make the outfit. I'm telling you. So get out there and get some good shoes. And hey, once again, if you guys are liking listening to my big mouth, or you got any comments about shoes, maybe on the crossover, debate me on the crossover shoes, I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a note down below, or you can always hit this little King Henry head here with my pretty face, and and subscribe, give me a like, and I'd love to hear from you. And so step out with you some nice shoes, and until I see you next time, stay pretty.